You've probably heard me moan about the banks in Rugby and the way so many of the banks have closed here, and my frustration that our banking system is no longer reliable. And there's a headline this evening about the closure of Nat West branches around the country and the broader decline of high street banking, as Nat West shutters 8 branches across Derbyshire and and Nottinghamshire, and others in Lancashire. We're witnessing this accelerating erosion of a once essential fixture of British towns and cities, and this development has significant economic, social, and cultural ramifications. Now, you could turn around and you could say, well, these are private businesses. Yes, but they embraced a public duty. Nat West cites a 62% reduction in counter transactions from 2019 to 2024 and a 53% rise in mobile banking as its primary reasons for these closures. Digital banking offers undeniable convenience, speed, and efficiency, especially for tech-savvy generations. But this transition alienates a significant segment of the population and removes a number of the products which banks offer. Now, you'll find that even if you were to go into a physical bank today, a lot of those products are denied, and you're sent off into a little room to sit on the other side of a telephone, because banking has deteriorated face to face. But some people will accept that because at least they feel they're getting some help. But that telephone conversation, the telephone experience of banking, is a misery for many. And this alienation of a significant part of the population, this bullying that goes on with telephone banking, where you don't see the person you're talking to, and where you're asked for a series of quite intimidating bits of information. You're asked for information in quite an intimidating way, and so particularly the elderly, small business owners, those in rural areas with limited internet access, those who are travelling abroad. You try and do something, and then you're suddenly expected to receive a telephone confirmation, which won't get through. It's NatWest promises to support these customers, but community pop-ups and online guidance are a pale substitute for the personal service and the reliability of a local branch. The other day, I was expected to get a passport application for another country endorsed by a professional, and there were literally no professionals available to sign that endorsement except to go to a local legal firm. Banks wouldn't do it, the chemist wouldn't do it, the doctors wouldn't do it. I just thought, this is absurd, because it's a simple process. I tried to get a prescription for medicine the other day, and no matter which chemist I went into, they didn't stock that particular drug, that particular medicine, and they couldn't direct me to who did, though it was only a matter of a few months, maybe a year, since I'd last got that medicine. The level of contempt for the customer, because they don't naturally fit into the little box that the business has set up for them, is very frustrating for the customer. And for over a century, banks like Nat West have supported local businesses, provided employment, fostered trust, and their disappearance, like that, diminishes the vibrancy of town centres, leaves yet another gap in the already struggling high streets. And as Councillor Hussain of Blackburn has lamented, these closures disproportionately affect older residents and small businesses who rely on face-to-face services. And the closure of smaller branches exacerbates financial exclusion in areas where social challenges are already acute. The decline of the high street banking poses significant risks. Small businesses that depend on local branches for cash deposits, for credit access, the closure of the small banks means that business owners have to travel further, disrupt operations, and increase costs. The financial exclusion of vulnerable populations, those without digital literacy or a stable internet, are at risk of being cut off from essential financial services, deepening social inequality. And high street banks, as custodians of public trust, play a vital role in maintaining financial stability, and their retreat undermines confidence in the banking system. And while the trend towards digital banking is irreversible, there are steps banks and policymakers could take to mitigate the fallout. The creation of shared banking hubs, such as those in East Lancashire, offering a promising compromise. These facilities, operated by multiple banks, maintain access to essential services while perhaps reducing operational costs. Expanding mobile banking units that could provide underserved communities with periodic access to services. And banks must invest in digital literacy platforms to help the customers that they are bullying into transitioning to online banking safely and confidently, using apps safely and confidently. Because actually, if you try and pay a bill at the moment, it asks you lots and lots of questions about, do you know this person? Have you and it doesn't matter what you answer, you then get a flashed up message on your screen saying this looks dodgy. So what are you supposed to do? Policymakers should mandate a minimum level of physical banking presence in vulnerable areas to prevent financial exclusion. And it's not enough simply to say go to your post office, because they're closing as well. Banks like Nat West bear a duty to society. They're custodians of public trust. They're facilitators of economic growth. They're pivotal to the infrastructure of modern life. And while they are private entities with shareholders to answer to, their importance in our system requires balancing profitability with public responsibility. And to run away is to shirk their duty. The closures of Nat West branches are symptomatic of a broader trend that risks leaving millions of Britons behind. And I was told that Nat West was the one bank which was not closing. So as we transition to a digital-first economy, we need to ensure that nobody is left in the shadows. Banks must innovate, yes, but they must remember their roots as institutions built on trust in the community, built on accessibility, built on service to the people. The threat to high street banking is a threat to the fabric of British life itself. It's a threat to the memory of Dad's Army and Captain Mannering. We must act to preserve this essential pillar of our society before it's too late. Because at the moment, our towns are disintegrating. And the banks are, with the closure of the banks, there will be nothing left.